What's up, guys? Jason Sawyer coming at you with the very first DetermiNATION YouTube vlog. Day one, meal prep. I'm going to show you everything I do for my own meal prepping, how you can set up your own meal prep, why it's important, and I'm going to show you what I actually go and buy at the grocery store. And yeah, I'm going to teach you how to get jacked. So it is super important that for you to see like real results with your dieting, whether you're using one of those fancy diets out there or if you're just a flexible eater and you don't want to be stuck eating certain foods and not others. The IIFYM or macros diet, really the flexible dieting system, it's the easiest one to use. I've used basically every single diet system out there except for the ketogenic diet. This one is by far the easiest to follow. I've got a little app on my phone. I have an Android phone called Simple Macro. It's totally free. You can find it in the Play Store. It allows you to track all your foods in there. You can create favorites, and you set your goals basically for how much of the protein, carbs, and fats that you need to be eating on a day-to-day basis. And all you do basically is you go into that app when you eat something, and you plug in the information, or you choose from your favorites if you've already eaten it before, and it'll show you a graph basically of how much you've eaten through the day, and it makes it a lot easier to make sure that you're eating enough of the right foods, because something that a lot of people have issues with when they first start doing fitness is they either eat too much or they don't eat enough, and both are just as bad. Because if you don't eat enough food, your body has no energy to do the exercise, and if you eat too much, you're not going to see the results that you're looking for. So it's super important that you follow those macros. That is definitely the system that's you're gonna see the best results from for sure. So I'm gonna throw up a thing on the screen that's gonna show you the formulas of how to calculate your macros. So for right now, the macros that I'm using for my own personal goals, which is, by the way, which at the beginning of the year, so February 1st, I set a goal to gain 30 pounds of muscle by the end of the year, 2018. And as of July, I'd actually put on 15 pounds. And the thing is too, is I know that that's not all water weight. Because I've actually gone down 2 sizes of pants since February 1st. All of my shirts are a lot looser. I've had to go and buy a whole bunch of stuff. I ended up donating all of my old clothes to Goodwill. I actually ended up giving them over 50 articles of clothing. So it's a good problem to have in some regards, but at the same time I don't want to buy too many clothes right now. So you'll probably see me wearing the same things over and over again for a little while here until I've kind of gotten my physique to where I want it to be, and then I'll just be at the maintenance level for a while at least. And then I'll probably hold on to the stuff I've got, and if I decide to bulk up or something in the future, and when I cut back down, I've got clothes to wear. So my macros are, I eat 80 grams of fat per day, 200 grams of protein, and 323 grams of carbohydrates. And I do my best to keep around that. Some days I go a little bit over on some, a little under on others. Some days I'm super close to it. It really depends on just like how, what your goals are, what you're planning on doing. So like, I eventually probably will end up competing in competitions, but for the time being, this is just about me. It's about all fitness. All the stuff that I'm doing with fitness right now is about really helping myself build my own personal confidence. And speaking as a person who's been super thin in the past, the way people see you when you walk around, the confidence it gives you in general, people respect you immediately. You don't even have to work for the respect. Well, actually, I suppose I already did, really, right? That's how you get muscle, you work for it. So yeah, I've already worked for the respect. I just walk around with it. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to show off any sort of fancy, watches or jewelry or anything. So yeah. Now, if you're on any other sort of diets of any kind too, like you can still kind of use the macro system for that as well, because most of the foods, well, pretty much most of the foods that you're likely to buy in the grocery store are going to have the nutritional facts actually on the packaging, and the ones that don't, you can just go on Google and you can type them in, and it's pretty easy to figure out. So do yourself a favor if you don't already have one to buy a food scale, because it makes life a lot easier with dieting, so you actually know exactly how much you're eating of everything. Now when you first start doing this, it's going to seem like pretty daunting, but you just gotta keep your nose to the grind, just keep doing it, get in the habits of weighing your food, preparing stuff ahead of time. I used to do my meal preps every single day, so like I would actually come home at night from work or the gym, and I would jump into the kitchen and I would start cooking my food for the following day. I found that I was kind of rushing home all the time, and I was thinking about like making sure that I needed to get home quickly, because otherwise I wouldn't have food cooked for the next day. So I switched it, so Sundays now basically I just do all of my meal prep all at once. So it's just a lot easier. Like, seriously, just do yourself a favor, cook it all at once. All of it, the whole week. Yeah. Or you can go and buy and pay for one of those meal prep services too. That's always another option if you don't have time to do it all yourself. So this is simple macro. You can see that I got pretty close on this day. It's from a few days ago. This is actually my old phone. It's the only way I can really show you, because I'm using my phone to actually record this. But I went a little bit over on protein, a little under on carbs, and a little under on fats. It's okay. Overall, pretty close to my calories required for the day, approximately 2,700. You want to get typically closer than this, but I used to get like within like 5 grams every single day when I first started doing this, but over time it gets kind of tiring. And you can actually show the details and see exactly what I ate throughout the day. So English peas, baby carrots, chicken and rice, protein shake, protein bar, rice cakes with Greek yogurt. So that's all I ate for the day. It tasted really good. So here it is. This is pretty much all the foods that I eat on a regular week-to-week basis. Occasionally I do eat out, but not very often. When I do, I make sure that fits my macros. I always got to fit my macros. Got to make sure that I'm not going over too much, at least, not only occasionally. So some of the stuff is not brand new. Like I already had some left over. Like for instance, the Quick Oats here. Like that bag is about like half empty now. But this stuff is great first thing in the morning. This is typically what I have for breakfast. I'll have this, and then I'll actually put some of the Himalayan pink salt in there before I actually throw it in the microwave. I find that it helps bring out the flavors, and like there's a lot of really healthy minerals in this that you won't find in any other salts. It is the best salt on the market. It is a little bit hard to find here in Edmonton. I actually had to go to I ended up going to 4 or 5 different stores before I found this for sale. I got it at a place called TNT, which is actually an Asian supermarket here in Edmonton. So it lasts a long time too. Like you can see, like this was full right up to the top when I first bought it, and that was about a month ago. So I use this every day, but I don't use a ton of salt. But because it's like in the big crystallized form, when I grind it, it doesn't really take a whole lot out of there. So this stuff's great, tastes good too. So that, plus I also do half a scoop of whey isolate. This is the one that I'm using right now. It's just about halfway through this too. So I like the cookies and cream flavor. I also like peanut butter chocolate crunch. I'm going to be switching to a different brand of this actually, and I will be linking information about how you can get it super cheap yourself too. Like I have a VIP membership at my supplement store, and I get this cheaper than I would normally. Like it only cost me about $35 for 2 pounds, but it's going to be $25 for 2 pounds with my new supplier. The only thing is I have to buy it in bulk. I've actually got to get 10 kilo boxes of it, so that's quite a bit. So this is my shaker here. I always bring this with me to the gym. I actually put 2 scoops. I put 2 scoops of the protein powder in there, and then 5 grams of my creatine. So I do that 5 grams a day to make sure that keep my creatine levels up good. And it doesn't really matter when you take creatine. I just like to mix it in with my protein shake because it's just easier for me to remember that way. So this comes with me to the gym, and I don't put any water in it until I'm actually going to drink it. I don't put milk in because it's extra calories and extra carbs with the lactose. Lactose is actually a sugar, so it does count towards your carbs. So when you're tracking that, keep that in mind. So I just add water. I think it tastes fine, and you get used to it after a while anyways. So I'll drink that during my workout. I have some protein bars to supplement my protein too. These actually taste pretty good. Like a lot of the protein bars out there are pretty gross, but this one's the chocolate deluxe. It's the highest protein one. They've got other ones too. They're like 20 grams of protein per bar or 19 grams of protein per bar as well. But these ones, I got these ones because they have the highest protein content. They taste great. They are usually on sale too. 12 bars cost me like $15. So it's actually not too bad. A lot of these protein bars are like $3-4 each sometimes. Like the Quest bars, for instance. But I like these ones, and they like me. My favorite snack in the world, rice cakes. These things, like when I'm done work, I have a tendency to go through like half a package of these sometimes. There's only like 8 grams of carbs in each individual one. See there, 8 grams of carbs, 1 protein, and 2 fats. So what I often do, like I don't usually eat these dry though. I'll actually put this on top. Greek yogurt, plain 0%. The macros on this are pretty good too, actually. You'll see there that they've got 8 grams of carbs, same as, and that's per 175 grams. So 3/4 of a cup, that's quite a bit. So like I usually put on about like 2 tablespoons of this on top of each one at most, and that's like slathered on there. So there's no fat, and 19 grams of protein per 175 grams. That's a ton of protein. Lots of calcium in this too. Arnold said that milk's for babies, but you know what? You need your calcium, and there's not a lot of sources of calcium unless you're eating a ton of food. So if you're like a bodybuilder who's eating like lots of like calcium-rich foods all the time, and you don't really need dairy products, but this stuff is great. And like the texture of it is way better than regular yogurt as well. It's way healthier than regular yogurt. So, and of course, what would I do without these? 12 pounds of chicken breasts. I get this. There's a couple of different stores that have this. I typically just go around to figure out which one has it the cheapest at any given moment. And it ranges in price from about $18 up to $30. I know you're saying that's super cheap for 12 pounds of chicken. It is. they are actually pretty decent quality too. Like this isn't, this certainly isn't, grass fed, free range, fresh, never frozen chicken breasts. But I mean, if you can afford to spend, $12 per day on just chicken, do it. But I can't, and well, I won't because this tastes just as good. So what I do is usually is I thaw this whole thing out and I cook it all at once, and then I just separate it into different containers because it's a lot easier for me that way. And so I do chicken and rice with this, and so I'll steam broccoli and mushrooms. So these ones are already sliced. They're pretty cheap actually too. It's like $1.30 for every one of these 227 gram packages. I cook for the entire week all at once, 6 or 7 meals typically, 6 or 7 days typically, and 2 of these will be good for my chicken and rice meals for the whole week. So I also will have some of these too. About two servings of this I bring with this with me to in my lunchbox for work, and I also will bring some. I don't have any here. They're in my freezer because that's where I want to keep them. But blueberries, I have a serving of those with me in my lunchbox every day too. Just keep in mind that when you eat blueberries, like they have great micros. The macros aren't too bad either. I mean, it's 17 grams of carbs per serving, which is actually a fair amount of blueberries, but they turn your mouth blue. Just keep that in mind. First time I ate them after not having them for a long time, I was like, oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm going to have blue mouth. So like, I'm a little bit, I'm like super all about oral hygiene. So I actually have a toothbrush and toothpaste that I bring with me to work, and I brush my teeth like 3 times a day when I'm at work. Yeah, I know that's a lot, but yeah, I like to have clean teeth. And rice, of course. Now, a lot of people would swear by the jasmine rice, but I much prefer basmati rice. I just like the texture more, and it's usually cheaper, like that. This is like, was it 10 pounds? Yeah, 10 pounds, and I paid $10 for this. So that'll last me quite a while too. So this is most of the food that I'll eat during the week. I don't typically keep a lot of these around because this plus the Greek yogurt, I go through a lot of those. That's kind of like my snack food thing. So I'll often like just drop by the grocery store to pick up some more of those. I also drink a lot of Diet Pop. Right now, Walmart is completely out of my favorite Diet Pop, the Great Value. The reason I like that one is because it's cheap. It's only 97 cents each, and it's sweetened with sucralose rather than aspartame. And aspartame is so bad for you. I try to avoid it as much as possible, but I need my Diet Pop because I need that sweetness occasionally. And aspartame is really bad for you. Your body can't break it down, so what it does is it turns it into formaldehyde, which never leaves your body. Oh, yeah, and of course, almonds. See, I'm almost out of this. This was on sale too. I couldn't believe how cheap it was. Normally almost a kilo of almonds is like $20. This was like 10. And they're actually pretty good almonds too. So whole raw California almonds, a good way to supplement your diet. Good micros on that as well. Okay, it's time to start cooking. My second favorite part. My favorite part is actually eating the food that I've already cooked. So I just want to preface with everything that you're about to see with the statement that the way that I meal prep, the way that I put all my food together, is all about really just making sure it tastes as good as possible, and it's got as much bang for my buck for vitamins and nutrients. I need those micros, and I need my macros. I need my protein, my fat, my carbohydrates. It's all got to be like as like dense in all of those areas as possible. So I also have basically set up the way that I do my meal prep to do it as quickly as possible because here's the thing, we all have the exact same amount of time. I've got 24 hours in my day, 7 days a week. You've got 24 hours in your day, 7 days a week. So just keep that in mind whenever you're budgeting and managing your time. So this is the way that I do things. Basically, is the quickest way that I've been able to figure out how to do this. Okay, so first of all, first thing I do is make rice. So I actually just cleaned out my rice cooker here. So I could do my entire week's rice in this all at once, and they would all have the same consistency. The problem is, though, if I do it that way, it's very hard for me to separate it out so that I've got an even amount in both and it doesn't get all like squished down together. So what I do is actually cook two different things of the same amount of rice at the same time in two different containers. So like I do it in the rice here, and I also cook it in this pot here too. I cook half of it in this, and I just find that overall like cooks a lot quicker if I do it this way. Half and half. Okay, so there we go. The rice in the rice cooker is now started. Turn it on, cook. Should be done in about like 20 minutes or so. And on the stove, it'll be done around the same amount of time too. And so I'm super classy too, so I'm drinking some wine while I do my cooking. And I am actually drinking this straight out of the bottle. Yeah. That's good stuff. Dry white, medium bodied, crisp. Color States Canadian wine. It's really good. If I drink that whole thing, I'd probably get drunk, so I'd probably make the video a little more entertaining, eh? Okay, so the rice is now done, so it's going to go in these two separate mixing bowls. And we're going to mix in some Greek yogurt in with there, a little bit of that pink Himalayan salt, and some soy sauce for flavor as well. And then we're going to start chopping up all the vegetables and throw them in there with it too, and mix it all up. And well, the tomatoes are going to go in there first, so that's actually a fruit. And then I'm going to steam up the broccoli and the mushrooms together and mix those in. And it'll be done. Be that easy. There we go. Half the mushrooms in that one, and then the other half in this one. Come on. Come on! I was stuck. So that's a total of 500 grams of sliced white mushrooms. 250 grams approximately on each side. It's not exact, but it doesn't have to be. Like, this is, unless you're crazy, you don't have to be exact for macros on every single day. So each one of these is going to work out to being 3 days. I'll put a little bit more of these mushrooms in the side actually, because it looks like I put a little too much of that one side. So it's going to be about 3 days for each one of these. So next up is the broccoli. Okay, so broccoli is all steamed. You can see it's still steaming nicely. So the next thing to do is throw it in the food processor to kind of turn it into like minced broccoli. So it's easy to mix in with the chicken and rice with the vegetables. So that's how I do the broccoli. You can see it's grated up pretty finely. I used to do it where I just chop it all up before I steamed it and then just left it as it is and threw it in here with this. But this is just way easier. It's way less work. You know, I break the broccoli up so it's small enough to fit in the steamer, and then I steam it, and then I throw it in the food processor to break it up like that. And it goes from taking about 5 or 10 minutes to just chop the broccoli up to like 30 seconds of breaking the broccoli up and then throwing it in the food processor. It's a big difference. You know, 5 or 10 minutes added up over. This is gonna be the rest of your life, guys. Okay, seriously, like you gotta save as much time as possible, and like if having your broccoli a little bit bigger is a big deal to you, then spend the extra 5 or 10 minutes. But this is the way I like doing it. So this just makes it way easier to mix in here, and it tastes just the same too. It's just smaller. That's it. You know, size doesn't always matter. When it comes to broccoli, it does not matter. So lastly is tomatoes, and I put in 2.5 tomatoes per each one of those food bowls. I don't throw these in the food processor because the food processor just tends to turn these to mush because they're a lot softer. So I do actually cube these up. And there it is, 2.5 tomatoes for each one of these food serving bowls. So mixing these bowls up, and that's pretty much it for the rice mixture. The chicken, I'll show you how I do that next. So this is what 12 pounds of chicken looks like after it's been cooked in extra virgin olive oil, cubed. The reason I separate it out like this is because what I do basically is I separate out 100 grams per day of this to put in with my, actually mix it in with my chicken and rice after throwing it in the microwave to warm it up. You'd think that like this actually does taste good this way. I add some of that, more of that Himalayan pink salt to it before I throw it in the microwave, and this way I just absolutely sure that I'm getting enough protein every single day. And with my goals of putting on 30 pounds of muscle by the end of the year, it is imperative that I'm getting enough protein in my diet, and this is how I ensure that that happens. And there it is, 6 days worth of steamed vegetables and rice, and tomatoes too. So that's a grand total of 500 grams of mushrooms, 500 grams of broccoli, 6 cups of rice, 5 whole beefsteak tomatoes, and 2 cups of plain 0% milk fat Greek yogurt, and soy sauce. All mixed together, separated into 6 containers. I'll cook these in the microwave for 4 minutes on 70% usually, and then I'll put the 100 grams of cooked chicken breast on top, mix that up, and that's either 1 or 2 meals depending on how hungry I am when I eat my lunch, and it's about 1,000 calories. And I'll also have, well, I'm going to show on screen here. It's going to be that's what I eat on average per day. Like, I've already told you my macros, but that's basically like, this is a typical day of the kind of food that I eat to fill those macros. So there you go, that's how you meal prep. It's so you can see it's actually really not that difficult to do. That's my meal prep for the week basically. To do it yourself, what you're going to do basically is you can actually take whatever the way you're eating now, and you don't have to make too many changes to it. Just write down everything you eat for an entire week. So get a journal, write down every time you eat something, write down what it is. Try to get as close to as possible to the proportions that you're using, serving sizes, that sort of thing. If you already got a food scale, that'll make it a little bit easier. So if you eat a lot of prepackaged foods, that's fine. But if not, then write down what you're eating from whatever restaurants, takeout places, that sort of thing, and just go and do the math, figure out exactly what you're eating on a day-to-day basis, figure out what the macros are, and then use the formula that I gave you previously to figure out where you need to be, and just either increase certain foods that you're eating on a day-to-day basis, or decrease things to fit within basically that little slot of what you need. And that's all you really need to do. Really, that's as simple as it gets. Another thing you can also do too is just take the macros that you have and look at regular foods that you normally eat. I'm going to give you some suggestions for things that you can kind of plug in on a regular basis that are like healthy foods, that suggested things that you should eat, things that you should avoid. So I'm going to throw them up on the screen here. It's going to be scrolling in to show you exactly the foods that you should eat, the foods that you shouldn't eat. And yeah, it couldn't be easier really. I mean, this is 80% the food you're eating for the success that you're going to see in fitness. 80%. That's how important it is. You can't out-train a bad diet. You can't spot reduce. No matter how much anyone tells you, there's no magic pill. You have to do things the right way every single day. This is going to be something you make a decision to do for the rest of your life. Make a commitment right now. You're committing right now to get your diet in line. Say it right now. Nice.
So if you like the video, smash the thumbs up, comment below, let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future if you have comments on this one. Subscribe and hit the notifications button so you know when the next one comes out.